Hey everyone, DisturbedShadow here, bringing you a new album review. Today, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from the In Flames photography to do the start of this new thing I want to do. So, this year is 2014, and 10 years ago it was 2004, which was a great year for metal. So I've decided to pick 10 albums, both rock and metal, that came out in 2004 and review each of them on their 10th anniversary. And today is the 10th anniversary of one of my favorite metalcore albums, and that is the second album from All That Remains, which is called This Darkened Heart. So let's jump into it and talk about one of my favorite metal albums. So the first track I want to talk about is the opener, and Death in My Arms. This is just a fantastic track to introduce you to All That Remains if this is the first album you're checking out for them, which their first album really didn't get a lot of attention when it first came out, but this album sort of put them on the map. So this is a good way to introduce them. There's a cool little acoustic intro before getting into some really crushing guitarists that just kind of punch you in the face and sort of get you moving and really into the music. And then there's some really cool lyrical content happening on here, plus some great guitar work later in the song. There's a cool melodic piece and a cool little solo at the end, which I really like. Next song I want to talk about is Vicious Betrayal, which is the third track, which has some really cool lyrical content on this track. I just really like the stuff that's being addressed on this, the sort of interpersonal relationships and stuff like that. It's a really cool track, and I really like the way it's organized. Plus, it has an amazing solo at the end, which is just, it's got this cool harmonization part, and it's just amazing. I really like the solo. Some really good guitar work from the band. Another song I want to talk about is the sixth track called Regret Not, which is one of my favorite metal instrumentals out there. It has this really amazing acoustic part in the beginning, and then it sort of goes into a more heavy, distorted part, and then it has a really cool melodic part before going to an incredible solo, and then again it goes back to the acoustic part. I just really like the way the song progresses, and then I like how so much emotion can be conveyed with this song, despite the fact that there's no lyrics or anything like that. It's just the instruments, and the way they play the instruments on the song has a really heavy emotional impact. It's really good and really worth listening to if you're only checking out a few tracks on the album. Next song I want to talk about is one of the more well-known songs from this album, which is called For Salvation. This has some great lyrics about humans and just the country in general needing to come together and swallow their pride in order and compromise with the stuff. Otherwise, we're not going to make it in the world, which I think is a really cool lyrical content happening there. Plus, it's got some really good heavy riffs, plus a fantastic solo at the end. And Oli Herbert really shines on guitar in this song. It's really great song. One more song I want to talk about is the final track, which is the title track, which is the first song I actually heard off this album because it was a single release off of it, and the video for it received a lot of airplay. But I just really like the way this song starts with just this really brutal scream and then right into some crushing guitar riffs, plus some fantastic lyrics again, talking about, I don't really know, but it's really cool the stuff that Phil is singing about on this song. So it's definitely worth a listen. And it has a really crushing end to it. It's a really fantastic song. So let's get into the sound of the band here. Phil Labonte on vocals. Man, this is a really fantastic vocal performance from him. He's got really good mid-range screams, plus some really nice high gutturals that are very good to listen to. It's just very fantastic vocal work. He has a really great range on this album. He can do the lows, the highs, and the mediums, and he just alternates between them very well. And then he also has a very nice, powerful, and melodic, clean singing voice, which doesn't show up a lot on this album as much as it does on later albums, but there's a few tracks, Deepest Gray, Focus Shall Not Fail, For Salvation, and Tattered on My Sleeve, where his melodic singing voice comes out, and you get to hear some really incredible singing from him. Plus there's some parts where the singing gets layered with the screaming, and it just sounds really cool. So that's it for Phil. Let's talk about Mike Martin and Oli Herbert on guitar. Man, there's some really great riffs on this album. Every song has just a great riff that just pulls you into the song. They're all kind of catchy. Plus, there's some amazing solos on the sound, like I mentioned. For Salvation and Vicious Betrayal both have very, very good solos, as well as And Death in My Arms. So there's some really cool guitar work going on here. And it shows a great range of different guitar styles. I mean, there's the acoustic guitar parts, there's the more chuggy riffs, the sort of breakdowny type stuff, and there's the more melodic stuff, and there's some shredding in there too. Like on For Salvation, there's a really cool shredding part on on the solo on that song. So they have a quite good range of different guitar styles happening here. Matt on bass, he's doing some interesting stuff. He's not just following along with the guitar. There's a lot of parts where the bass is doing its own thing, like on The Deepest Gray and Passion and For Salvation and Regret Not, where the bass is sort of doing its own thing, as well as Tattered on My Sleeve. There's some cool bass stuff going on in that song as well. And finally, Michael Bartlett on drums. The drums are okay. They keep the beat. There's some cool fills happening and stuff. There's nothing too technical or incredible, but it does a really good job. Plus, there's the song The Deepest Gray, where during the solo on that song, which is another great solo I forgot to mention, there is a lot of cool stuff, and he's playing cowbell and all this stuff happening, and it just really gets you into the song. It's a really great beat on that song. So, pretty good drumming from Michael. And I do want to mention this album was produced by Adam Dukowitz from Killswitch Engage. And it has the production on everything is just very high quality, the kind of stuff you expect from him. I haven't found an album that he's produced that I haven't enjoyed, but I haven't listened to all the albums he's produced, but he does a very good job on this one as well. So that's it for the review. I know it was kind of short, but I just love this album, so I just talked about it kind of fast because I'm just so excited about it. But that's all I have to say. It's a kind of a short album. It's not even an hour long, but there's some very, very great music on here, and it's one of the best albums from All That Remains. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. It's one of my favorite albums, and it's, like I said, it's probably one of their best albums. So go check it out, and look forward to my next review, which will be of another album that came out 10 years ago. So be sure to stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.